500 and growing.
Podcast.
Dedicated to the underdog, cause I see you. Working on your craft, getting strong, cause I see you. Ready to set it off and on, cause I see you. Correcting all that is wrong, cause I see you. Welcome to the 500 and Growing Podcast. I am your host, Jesus Azteca 500 Sanchez, and today we have Oscar the Shank Jurado Sanchez here at 500 and Growing Podcast. Oscar the Shank Jurado Sanchez was born in 1997 in Chicago, Illinois. His parents decided to move to Cuernavaca Morelos in Mexico when he was 5 years old. A year later, his mother registered him for Tae Kwon Do classes. Those Tae Kwon Do classes have led to him definitely making martial arts his way of life. So he has become a professional MMA fighter, preparing for a really big fight that's going to be hosted by Legacy Fighting Alliance, the LFA, and it'll be streaming on UFC Fight Pass channel. So I've seen him grow from being an amateur MMA fighter. He's also gone to my gym and sparred some of my comrades over there at the gym. But then we've also sparred because I box, and I've been really impressed by his choice to become an MMA fighter. And you know, from being an amateur to going to professional, and then now having the opportunity to really show his skills to the UFC, which is the biggest company in MMA. I'm really happy for him, and we're going to pull for him to win that fight. So everybody give a big round of applause to Oscar the Shank Jurado Sanchez. All right. So, Oscar, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. A little bit tired. You know, I'm already on 5 week, so I'm cutting weight. You know, on the diet, drinking a lot of water, and I just finished training, so a little tired, but happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for coming. So, Oscar Jurado Sanchez is my cousin. My aunt is my father's sister, and you know, obviously the Sanchez, Jesus Sanchez and Oscar Jurado Sanchez. And so, you know, he definitely has an interesting story, and I'd like him to share like how he grew up. So what was it like? How did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
You know, first of all, I was born over here in Chicago. I was like until I was 5 years old. I grew up around Addison, close to the Wrigley Field area. I don't have too many memories. I just remember the stadium and, you know, the train. It was like the I think it was the red line.
Yeah.
So after that, you know, I moved. My parents moved to Mexico, to Morelos, Cuernavaca, and there my childhood was pretty nice. You know, I remember like, the first house that we moved in. It was pretty big. It had a pool, and it was. I mean, we loved it. I mean, that's how I learned to swim. I learned how to swim when I was like 6, 7. Mm-hmm. That's a funny story, actually. I actually fall into the pool, and I wasn't like I learned kind of like falling into the pool, and then my dad took me off.
Okay.
I was just like floating, like just moving a lot. So that's how I learned.
Oh, so you were about to die and you figured out real quick like how to swim.
Yeah, just how to float, you know.
But how many brothers and sisters do you have? What was your family structure like?
I have one sister and 2 brothers, all younger than me.
Okay, so you're the oldest?
I'm the oldest. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you were age 5, right, when you went to Mexico?
Yeah, I was about to be 5 when we moved to Mexico, to Cuernavaca, Morelos.
And so you don't remember really like the transition between going to being in the United States and going to Mexico?
No.
Okay.
It was I don't even remember. I just remember when we were already in Mexico.
Okay. Oh, and in Cuernavaca, yeah, what was it like? Like, what was Mexico like? How can you describe it? Like, if you had to describe what it was like.
Cuernavaca, it's always sunny, and it's always a nice weather in Cuernavaca. That's the principal thing I remember from Cuernavaca. And then the school, I remember the school. It was a bilingual school, and which actually I learned some English in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And the school. I was still, little guy, still shy. The new kid in school and everything. And I had a couple like bullies too in the school too.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that was when my mom like decided to put me in Tae Kwon Do too, because I had a lot of like energy too. Like I like to like run and just play around and everything.
Uh-huh.
And my mom, because of that, the bullies and all my energy, she decided to put me in martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
And because of my cousin, he actually trained back in Mexico in a Taekwondo gym, so he recommended to my mom, and we went. And after that, I started training, and I really like it.
Okay. And so you were training in Taekwondo, and then what happened after that?
So I trained there for like, I think I was like 6 or 7 years old, and then I had my first competition when I was around 9, 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I kind of like fell in love with like combat sports, like that competition. I got the first place, and I don't know, it was exciting. After that, the feeling of like, I still remember that feeling of winning.
Uh-huh.
And
what made you fall in love with the martial arts?
it was really like that. I don't know. It's like a power thing, like when you win a competition, like a one-on-one combat sport. I don't know, you feel like powerful after winning.
And did your parents ever tell you how to celebrate, or like how were you celebrating when you beat other kids?
I mean, no, I don't really celebrate. I just go there, I do my thing, and that's it. I don't I get excited and everything, scream, but I'm always respectful, towards my opponent.
Yeah.
Not everybody steps in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect that.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is what it is. It's just business.
Okay. And then what happened? So you grew up in Cuernavaca, and
after that, my mom and my dad, one day, like, we were on vacation visiting my grandma in Mexico City, in Zumpango. And all of a sudden, vacation is almost over. We're gonna, go back to school. And my mom just one day said, like, we're not coming back to Cuernavaca. We're gonna stay here. We're gonna live here now.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to adjust. It was a little tough at the beginning. I didn't want to do Taekwondo. Actually, I didn't want to change my trainer. I always been like, loyal, or always seen my trainers kind of like a dad figure, something like that.
Yeah, like a father figure.
Yeah. So I didn't want to train in other place. So but I still did sports. I did like football, like soccer, basketball, volleyball, all that.
And then how did you get back into martial arts?
So same thing, I was getting in trouble in Mexico, but this time bigger kids. I always knew how to defend myself, but these kids, I mean, they knew too. So, one day we were I was training basketball, and then I saw the kickboxing gym right there. It wasn't the same, like, the kickboxing class. It wasn't the same gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told my mom, like, I wanted to, try it just to
see what it was like.
Yeah, to see what it was like again, give it a try. And I tried it, and I got it pretty fast, because of the Taekwondo background.
Yeah.
And, fall in love again.
Yeah. And so you were talking about bullies, right? Like, what was it like to get bullied?
It was, I don't want to say like bully because, like, that's how we were. And I always defended myself. So it was like kind of like a thing that I want to win. So like, if I was getting into a fight, and if I lose, I just wanted to like get him back or something. So that's what I started like training, kind of.
Okay.
And I didn't. Eventually, I didn't get anyone back. So it was just to defend myself.
Yeah. You were training, and then you were like, I'm probably gonna beat this person up, so I might as well just like do it in the competition.
Do it in a competition.
And so, were there any times when you were confronted where like you had to use the training that you had done?
Yeah, definitely. Since I was 15, I was already training, and then 16, I started going into parties with my friends and everything. And I mean, where I grew up, the little town that I grew up, it was a little tough. So you had to stand up for yourself. And a couple times I have to,
Mm-hmm.
especially in parties when like big brawls break out.
Mm-hmm.
You never know, so you gotta be always open your eyes.
Yeah, aware of what's going on around
Aware.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was something that you saw growing up that you wanted to change? Is there anything that you saw growing up?
Definitely. I think my anger issues that I had before when I was when I was a kid growing up, I just had a lot of like anger. Like I could get like angry at anything just really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the biggest thing that actually I've been like the last couple of years that I've been like working on,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel much better now.
And so how did your family deal with those anger issues? Because I imagine that they were the recipients of a lot of that, no?
Yeah, definitely. It was tough. I mean, it was tough for them too, and like I said, like I was like I get angry. Sometimes I would hit stuff or break stuff in the house. So yeah, like my mom and my dad. Sorry for that.
Yeah, for sure. Did they understand you? Were they patient with you, or?
They were definitely patient, and it was usually like if I get like martial arts helped me a lot with my anger problems, because after training I will get home tired and everything, and I will not get angry at anything,
Yeah. And I remember in your house there was always like a punching bag in the front.
Yeah, I hang it every time I wanted to, like, or if I have like a problem or anything, I would just go there and punch it, kick it.
And is there anything that people misunderstood about you?
I never asked, but I don't know. Maybe yeah. Because like I said, like I wanted to follow my dream, coming here and everything, and not a lot of people understand that, I guess.
And so you said you were quiet, right?
Yeah, I've always been. I mean, it's like I'm very quiet, but if you approach me, I'm very friendly.
Okay. And so you weren't quiet, and you surprised people that you decided to do this for your as a life mission, or did they always know that this was a possibility that you would be able to?
So when I was training, I really like it, and whenever I didn't train, I felt bad, right? So I always knew that I wanted to do something about like this, like action. So my plan actually was like coming here to United States and to enroll in the Marines or the Army or anything like that. So after that, to become a cop, and I actually did. Like the first 6 months when I was here,
Mm-hmm.
I was going through some money problems and everything, and I took the decision to go to the Army to enroll, and then I didn't pass. My English wasn't that good at the time. I missed like for 2 points, and after that, I just never came back to enroll again, to sign up again.
So you said that you were here in the United States. How did you make the decision to come to the United States?
So when I was 17, I started coming during summers to make money, to work with my cousin in construction.
Yeah.
And I like the life here. I like the city. I like the weather. I mean, the cold at the beginning, I didn't like it, but
I don't like that, man. Like, yeah, there's always a time period in Chicago where you're just like I think it's like February, March, like the end of February, middle of February to the beginning of March, where you ask yourself, why do I live here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But now I'm getting used to it, and I like it a little bit more than the heat now.
Uh-huh.
But so yeah, like I was coming here making money, and I make the decision that I wanted to make my life here.
And so you were the first. So your brothers and sisters have followed you from Mexico to the United States, and you were the first one to come to the United States. What was it like for you to come on your own, in a sense, right? Like you had support from your family here in the United States and here in Chicago.
Yeah.
But what was it like to make the decision to like not have your parents around, to choose to see what you're made of,
Yeah, I mean, I always been very independent. So in my head, I always knew that I was gonna be by myself one day, right? I was gonna move out. So it wasn't that hard. At the beginning, it was a little hard. You miss mom, you miss your family, you miss your dad, especially the food. That was the hardest part for me. I love food, and I didn't know how to cook that well. So I had to learn with a lot of mistakes. So,
What did you think of the difference between the lifestyle in Mexico and the lifestyle in the United States? And you came at what year was it?
I think it was 2017.
So that was after our 45th president had been elected, right? So there was a lot of like turmoil in the United States as far as like racism and just like angst that people had amongst each other. Did you feel that when you came to the United States? Like what was it like to encounter? Have you encountered racism or anything like that while you've been here?
Definitely yes, especially at work. Sometimes I work customer service, so you got sometimes you get those people that because my accent, they will say something or anything, and I just ignore them. I mean, to me, words, they don't mean anything.
And so what was it like to be somewhere completely different on your own?
It was hard, The walk, I had to walk a lot, take the bus, just start from the beginning. It's a new life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was tough, but definitely like the gym, the family that I have here, my sister, my brothers, they helped me a lot. Especially my sister, because she was the second one to coming here, and so I helped her and she helped me, and after that, it became easy.
Were there any times in the adulthood that you had to stand up for yourself, or you had to make like a hard decision?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, when I was going to enroll, that was a tough decision. I think about it a lot, and I was definitely ready to go with it. If I were
accepted.
Yeah, if I would have been accepted, but I didn't. So like things happened for some reason. After that, I got my first fight. I won, and I just followed my dream.
So let's talk about
following
that.
my drill.
Yeah, like how did you start training, or like how did you find the gym that you're at? And have you been consistent with that gym, or have you switched gyms? Like what was that like? How did you find that here?
So I moved to my aunt's house, and I was when I got there, I had a job and everything. So after that, I was already looking for a gym. I knew I wanted to do something, to train a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I was not gonna do that at that time, So I look it up on Google, just gyms closer to my house, so I can like just either walk, take the bus, or ride a bike. And I found it on Google, and I looked it up. It was pretty close to the house, and I went to check it out. I talked to the coach. I told him about my story back in Mexico, that I have experience fighting and everything.
Yeah.
And he invited me to the fight team right away, and I started training with them. And after I think 6-7 months, they were started looking to give me a fight. First a Muay Thai fight, and that's how I start.
Yeah, I remember when you first started. I told you about the boxing gym that I'm part of, and it was a funny story. So Gabe is the coach or the trainer there, right? And so was Fernando at the time. And so we were in the office, and they were telling me about it, because we would always talk about new fighters that come in and whatever. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, man, this Mexican, he came in, bro. He's pretty good, bro. He's fast. And they kept on describing this fighter, right? And the whole time I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh, for real? Oh, cool. Oh, he does MMA? Oh, yeah, that's cool. And I didn't know. And all of a sudden, they were like, they were like, his name is Oscar, and he's right there. He's running right there. So I went out and I looked, and I was like, that's my cousin. So it was definitely, yeah, it was interesting for them to like be excited to have like a new fighter come into the gym. And then it was funny, because the whole time they were describing you, I didn't realize that they were talking about you the whole time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I look and I'm like, Oscar, what's up? So it was pretty funny. Yeah. So yeah, man. So you also went to the gym What was
to
it
the
like to
boxing
go to the
gym.
CYBC?
It was fun. The guys there are pretty fast. You know, I trained boxing in Mexico actually when I was 15 too. Like I was doing kickboxing and boxing at the time back in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the style was definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
Over there is a little bit more like up close, you know,
Yeah.
like body and head, you know, like Mexican style boxing.
Yeah.
And I get to that gym and it was like faster. I don't know, the kids there were faster.
Yeah.
So I had to like, you know, switch guards or anything, you know, get a little confused. I'm an MMA fighter, so I'm not a boxer.
Yeah.
So, you know, make it a little bit like an MMA fight with just boxing.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's I like the gym. Sometimes I come back to like spar, train there.
Okay.
Good environment.
And then what made you fall in love with martial arts? I mean, I know you talked about it a little bit, right? You talked about like how you were bullied in Cuernavaca, and then my tia or your mom enlisted you in Tae Kwon Do, right? And then how you got into Muay Thai kickboxing, or right?
Yeah, it was Lima Lama kickboxing.
Lima Lama kickboxing. And then but what made you fall in love with like MMA?
So I always been like I wanted to do like, I like competition, right? I like winning. So when I was doing boxing and kickboxing, one day I remember I was watching TV after training, and I went home. I was watching TV, and an MMA fight pop out, and I was like, all right, this is different. I saw the cage and everything, and I remember it was George St. Pierre against Matt Serra.
Mm-hmm.
For the second fight, for when George got back his title. And after I watched that fight, I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. This is way different, you know, like this is a different world. Like people, they can take you down, beat you on the floor. I mean, it's a more complete thing, like a martial arts, like you're a complete fighter. So that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a complete. I didn't want anybody to be able to beat me.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking up videos and you know, videos to learn a little jiu-jitsu, and then like, I don't know, like when I was 17, an MMA gym opened up on a little MMA gym opened up back in Sumpango, and I started training there, and you know, pretty basic stuff. I really got better when I came here.
Mm-hmm.
The wrestling over here was what got me.
Yeah, I remember going to a couple of your fights and
Pretty tough.
And yeah, it was tough for you to get through these wrestlers, especially the guys that like throw you on the ground and they won't let you back up. And I've seen you definitely like improve that and work on that. So what is it like to like work on that? How have you tackled that? Because that was one of your weaknesses, right? And everybody knew that
Definitely.
you were a striker, that you were fighting.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, that was a plan that my coach actually did. You know, because he knew that I needed to work on the ground. So all my fights are almost all wrestlers, really good wrestlers. So I can, you know, improve in that area
Mm-hmm.
to when I was become a pro. You know,
Yeah,
get
when you were
ready
an
for that.
amateur.
Yeah. So yeah, like that was. I mean, wrestling is a tough sport. It's hard. It's hard on the body and everything. And at the beginning, I didn't like it. I didn't want to train or anything. But you know, after a couple of losses to wrestlers, I was like, you know what? I just had to suck it up and just do it. I had to train. I had to get better at it. And lately, I've been liking it a lot. And now I like it a lot. And every time I step into wrestling class, I have fun.
What do you like about it? Like, what changed?
What changed? Well, mostly I make it a habit to just go every time. So, you know, wrestling practice now is like a consistent thing that I do. So it's like I'm getting used to it, and you know, I like it that it makes me better.
Mhm.
And it makes me like, wrestling is like a really important sport for MMA, because if you have good wrestling and you want to keep the fight standing, you need wrestling. If you wanna take the fight to the ground, you need wrestling. So it's like I think like the principal sport, like the principal base for MMA. So
Where does jiu-jitsu fall in that?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is to be like when you're on the ground, you know. But jiu-jitsu is fun. I like it. I like the submissions and everything, but there's nothing like controlling someone in the ground and punching him in the face.
So that's the wrestling, right? The
That's-
ground and pound.
Yeah, the wrestling. I mean, you need a little jiu-jitsu too for that, you know, to be able to hold your opponent and put him in a position so you can really make damage on that position, you know.
Okay. And so, speaking of that, what is it like to fight somebody? How would you describe it to somebody that's never fought? How do you prepare? How do you get yourself into the mind frame to pretty much destroy somebody, right?
Well, you have to be very confident on the work that you have put in, right? So I'm very confident of all the work that I've been putting on and all my skills too. I know I'm a very talented striker. I know I can hit hard, and I just mentally, I put in my state like a superior state of mindset, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna go there and you're in the cage trapped with me. That's it.
Yeah, you're gonna be the victim.
Yeah.
Like you're just in front of me.
Yes, you're just another guy that's across the cage. That's it.
And how do you get ready? Like, what's your process like to get into the cage?
Well, I've been doing this for so long that I don't know, man. I feel a little nervous actually, like, you know, sometimes when the fight gets closer, but once it's like fight day, like my mind just switches. I'm just like, I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's just like the hunger of, you know, of victory and competition.
And what is it like to prepare for the fight? Like, you have to make weight, right? So what weight do you fight in?
I'm a flyweight, so I'm 125 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the toughest part of this sport or any combat sport where you have to make weight. The diet is pretty hard. Like I said before, I love food, and that's the toughest part. You know, that's mental too, because you have to be able to like sacrifice and understand that you have to do the diet and do the weight cut in order to get to fight.
Pretty much.
So yeah, that's like the hardest part of the job.
No, that's what I tell people all the time when they talk about boxing is that you know, I know a couple of heavyweights and they have it so easy.
Oh yeah,
They don't have to worry about anything. And
Yeah,
so I get served smaller portions. Sometimes I don't eat and my family's eating. It's just like there's a lot that you put your body through in order to be able to fight. And I tell people all the time, it's like I can get punched in the face. I'm cool with that. That's fun, right? I can punch people. That's even more fun.
Oh yeah.
I could train and like train hard to the point where you wake up and you're like super sore, and then it'll finally go away when you start hitting it hard. But sparring, right? Anything besides making weight and changing your diet, not eating carbs.
I agree with that.
You know, like carbs, you never tasted tortillas so
man.
nice.
Oh,
And you're
man.
probably in that place right now, right?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
it's like,
yeah, it's fight week. Like I said, I mean, I just had a salad today, so
yeah.
I mean, you know, like it's just hard. Food is my thing. You know, it's like my second thing, and I don't know, man. Just if actually when I'm sitting on the sauna, you know, cutting weight, those are the toughest moments when you're like thinking like, man, why am I doing this, right? You know, why do I choose this sport? So going through that helps you even more to get mentally ready for that fight, you know.
And on average, how much weight do you cut?
I usually cut like 8 pounds of water, just like dehydrated. It's not too hard. Still
Okay.
hard, but not too hard.
Okay. Yeah, because I cut 20.
That's a
And
lot.
so and so I put my body through a whole lot to get to that. I have to run like for 3 miles every other day. I have to work out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
20
it's
pounds is a
rough.
lot.
It's rough. It's rough. And so, you know, it sucks to see other people eat, especially bread.
Oh yeah, that's a tough part too. Like I live with my brothers, and I mean, you know, they are not cutting weight. So they have pizza in the house. They're eating in front of me. So I mean, I'll be like, just I will tell them like, yeah, keep eating. You know, that will help me to get mentally ready.
You're gonna make me mad. Just get me mad so I could beat this dude up.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, you were mentioning some martial arts, right? What's your favorite martial art? And not MMA, because MMA is its own beast. But like
if you separate them,
yeah, what would be your favorite martial art?
I would say
that you've done. Right?
Boxing.
Why do you like boxing?
I just like the art of boxing. It's a tough sport. It's you have to be really conditioning, and you know, the art to hit and not get hit. That's what I like.
Okay. And what's your camaraderie like at Intercept Gym? Because you were talking about Intercept Gym, but you were also telling me that it wasn't called Intercept, right? Like something happened, like the ownership changed or something. Like what was it like to go through that?
Yeah. So at the beginning, it was called Victory MMA. And it was owned by the manager there, my coach, Danny Summers. He was just the manager. The owner was another guy. I think his name is Dion Ricardo.
Mm-hmm.
He owns Victory Martial Arts. So my coach, one day he said like, I think I'm buying the gym, and he asked everyone at the team if we were gonna stay with him, and we stayed with him, and he bought the gym. He did some improvements on it and everything. Yeah, remodeling, and switched the name to Intercept MMA, and I think it's like been 3 years now since that.
Okay, and what was that transition like? You didn't feel it because he was already your trainer, right?
Yeah, he was already my trainer, and everyone there was like already, you know, everybody stayed there, so the transition was pretty smooth, and the commentary there it's a very friendly environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for kids, for adults, for beginners, fighters, advanced people, anything. Now we have new classes too, you know, in the mornings, kickboxing classes. Actually, I'm giving those cardio kickboxing classes.
Okay, and how are they? What do you like about doing that?
I like that I'm learning how to teach, because I always been very bad at. I'm not very bad, but you know, I didn't like teaching. I don't think it's like my thing, but now that I'm learning, I'm starting to like it, you know.
Mm-hmm. And so you talked about like, what is it like to lose? Like how has it been for you to lose a match or to lose a competition?
Lose. I mean,
how do you deal with that?
Nobody likes to lose, you know, but lose it's just part of life. So losing is just a learning experience. Like, it's not gonna stop you from your next fight, you know. Like, it's not the end of the world. So I just say that to myself, like, this is not gonna stop me from my goal. I just focus on the big picture, and everything I do is just to get to that. So loses are just learning experiences. Just check what I did wrong on that fight, what happened. Just be honest with myself and accept what happened, and you know, move up from there.
Yeah, for me it was like it's definitely helped me in my life. Like being able to manage that you don't control everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like with this last Golden Gloves, I had prepared for everything, but for this person to hold me the whole fight. And so it was really frustrating when I was in my corner. Probably wasn't listening to anything that they were saying because I was just really, really mad that this was happening.
Yeah, that he was just holding you. Yeah, I had that before, you know, with a lot of wrestlers. I mean, people doesn't like to get hit in the face, so it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, and the crazy part was that that, you know, when I watch boxing matches or I watch fights and I watch somebody holding the other person, I'm just like, damn, this is a boring fight, right? Like I complain about how boring it is.
Yeah.
And I never expected for it to be that type of fight for me, right? And so it took a lot to and the other thing is that I was going into the Golden Gloves hurt. And so, you know, it's one thing, like I've never experienced being hurt to the point where it was just like I kept on re-injuring myself. And that was really really tough on my body because I would heal a little and then re-injure myself.
And then re-injure.
Heal a little, then re-injure myself. And I couldn't, like, one of my things is like, is to read your body and like know when you're putting too much force into your body. But I couldn't stop because if I was going to stop, I wasn't going to be able to participate in the Golden Gloves, or I was going to get beat up. And getting beat up wasn't like an option. So I had to keep training. I went to the doctor and the doctor said, yo, like,
gotta stop a little bit.
You're old, bro. Like, because I'm not young, right? So I fight in the Masters division, and that's 35 plus.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, she was just like, look, man, like before you used to heal really fast, you're not gonna heal very fast. You're gonna have to stop. And it was really hard on me, and it's still hard on me to like have to stop and let my body recover. Have you experienced anything like that?
Definitely, yeah. I have some periods. Actually, I hurt myself in a fight, a clash of knees, and I think I was out for like maybe 6 months because in that fight I hurt my knee and then I hurt my shoulder too. So yeah, it was tough. Because all I've been doing is training, and every time like if I miss for like a week or 2 weeks, man, I feel like I'm going crazy, without training, because it's like a routine. I do this every day. So it was hard to like stop and not do anything for like a month. It was like a month and a half, just recovery. But, that's another learning experience. You have to take your time to recover too, because if you don't recover properly and you overtrain, you show up to the fight and you're not gonna feel 100%. And I mean, not all the time you're gonna feel 100%, but you want to be as close as 100% to perform.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
And so, what is your favorite fight that you remember from all the fights that you've had? Like, what is your favorite fight, and why was it your favorite fight?
So my favorite fight was with a guy named Adrian Hernandez. He was a striker too, so it was a back and forth striking fight. And it was very fun. I remember, we threw like a lot of punches, back and forth. He's another fellow Mexican. So, 2 Mexicans fighting, you already know. It's a good show. And it was actually a split decision. I won by a split decision. And that was definitely my favorite fight. Yep.
Which one was that?
It was in December. It was my third or fourth fight, amateur.
Okay.
It was for Fight Card Entertainment.
So it was in Rosemont?
It was in Rosemont.
Okay.
Joe's Life. Yeah.
When you fight, right? Like, how do you deal with victory, right? Like we were talking about losses. Like losses are part of life, and how do you deal with victory? And then how does that tie into your life, personal life, dealing with losses and dealing with victories in your personal life, not necessarily in MMA. But in MMA first, and then.
Well, this is I know it's a sport, but at the same time, this is my job. So, like victories is just I enjoy it. Like the feeling of winning when you're there in the cage. All like it feels amazing. I can't describe it. You feel so empowered too.
Do you hear your sister?
Oh, yeah, I do hear my sister when she's in there.
Because your sister and your mom, but your sister for sure. Yo,
she screams like, a lot.
Like she's like screaming as loud as she can. Yo.
Yeah, I probably hear more than my coach, man. I mean, he's right there in the corner.
And what's that like? What's it like to win? And how do you process that? Because you pretty much like destroyed somebody, right? And so how do you process? There's an adrenaline that you have, right? And the adrenaline is that energy that you have to like survive in that state, right? And then once you finally win and that adrenaline subsides, right? Or like leaves your body, or it's not as present in you, like how do you deal with that?
Well, after the fight, like once you start cooling down, you start feeling a little bit more the punches or the fight.
Yeah, you start feeling sore.
You start feeling a little bit sore. And definitely, like what I do after a fight, after a winning, even if I lose too, it's eat. and my go-to is pizza. So that's how I celebrate victory.
Okay. And
Pizza.
and then have you ever had a fight where like a person was talking a lot of smack and just like just being really belligerent, like being very rude to you?
Yeah.
And how do you take that, and what do you think of that?
So it was my professional debut. My opponent was very cocky, very like backstage. He was just like looking at me and saying stuff, acting all tough. But I mean, to me, we're about to fight. Like everything you say before the fight is not gonna change the fact that we're gonna be in the cage, and I'm gonna punch you in the face or kick you in the face, elbow you, knee, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't let that affect me.
Yeah. For me, it was like I was in a tournament as an adult, right? And there was a guy I knew. We especially when you're at my age, like that you're not a little kid, so you look around and you like you look like my age, you're about my height, you're about my weight, you're probably my opponent, or you're gonna be my opponents, right? Like you can see.
Yeah, you kind of look into it, right?
Yeah, and it's not like MMA. I don't know how they weigh you in MMA. It's just like we're all in a line, and then they get your book, and then they mark down whether you made weight or whether you didn't. So there was a guy in between me and the other person, right? And I knew that my opponent was one person ahead of me.
Okay.
And so he was talking to the guy that was in front of me, and he was like, yeah, I'm thinking about going professional, blah blah this, and he's like, and it ended up being like, who's your opponent? He asked the guy, and I raised my hand, and I was like, it's me. And I remember telling him, I was like, yo, we're not doing this to become professionals, like we're doing this for fun.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have fun, And so the whole time before that, he was like stretching and like cracking his knuckles and like trying to look tough and like, cracking his neck in front of me, because he knew that I was gonna be his opponent too, because we had both been in the Golden Gloves the year prior. Mm-hmm. And he was only going to. It was a tournament that my gym was having called Power Gloves, and he was only coming to the Power Gloves to like see how I fought and see how he would be able to do, because he was about to go into the Golden Gloves.
The Golden Gloves,
which is crazy because this last year he's the one that didn't make weight or dropped out. And that day that you came, that I had to be like, yo.
Oh yeah. The fight got canceled because he didn't make weight, right?
Yeah. So it was him. I was gonna fight him again, but it was just like before I used to take it super serious, mm-hmm. and like try to be tough and intimidating. And just like a real quick other story, I remember I was in a tournament and Gabe they called our names out, and so we went out, and Gabe, our trainer, was in front of me, and this guy next, like sitting ringside, was like, "Hey, bro," and talked to me, right? He was like, "Why you look all upset?" And so Gabe was just like, "Oh, it's his mouthpiece," and so I just started laughing, right? And it was just like, at that moment, I was like, you were saying, I don't need to be mean to you. Like, you're going to feel what I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
But when the time comes, you're going to feel it. I don't need to be a jerk, and I don't need to like psychologically try to intimidate you in any way. Like,
yeah, no.
You're going to get it. When that bell rings, you're going to get it. And so
yeah, like I say, like you have to like think or like on yourself, be calm, just be like you have to be just yourself, don't try to like play with your opponent's head. It will be like if you're calm, he will get nervous. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it.
Yeah. And so what happened with that fight? So he was really super cocky.
Oh yeah, he was cocky. He was walking back and forth, all with a mean face and everything. And then the fight came, and he was actually talking some smack in the fight too. In the middle of the fight, he actually showed me the fingers too.
So he stuck his middle fingers out at you?
Yeah. So I mean, it was fun, After that, I took him down, and put a couple elbows on his face. So
was he the one that threw up?
Yeah, he's the one that threw up in the second
Yeah, it
round.
was crazy, man. We were outside looking at it, and then all of a sudden, it was just like they got a bucket for him,
Yeah.
and then they stopped the fight, and we couldn't figure out why they stopped the fight.
I know, I was mad too. The referee told me, "Oh, we stopped the fight," and I was like, "Wait, what happened?" And they told me, my coach, like, calmed me down and everything, because I mean, of course, first I didn't know what's going on.
Yeah, you were ready for the next round.
Yeah,
because it was in between rounds that this happened.
Yeah, between rounds. And then second after that, like the referee told me like, no, he can't continue. He threw up. And then I was like, okay. Then I went, right. So all I said to myself was, all right, just to take the win and celebrate. That's it.
So you wanted to
Wait.
punish him more, or you wanted to fight more?
When I fight, like I see the fight business is, I go there and I don't want to score points. I want to finish you. I want to make damage so you can't continue. That's it. So that's how I look the fight business. So when I was in that fight, I wanted to, knock him out or submit him or anything, So I get a little bit upset, adrenaline is going and everything. But after that, I just calmed myself down and took the win. That's it.
Yeah, and what is it like to take risks, right? So like in boxing, you take a risk by punching, because boxing's like peekaboo. That's the best way I can describe it, where it's just like whenever you punch, you leave yourself open for something.
Yeah,
And so it's just like it's definitely like opening and closing, and choosing when to open and close. In MMA, there's so much more that you open and close, right?
Oh yeah,
because you leave yourself exposed to get pinned
when
down.
Yeah,
right?
when you throw a kick or anything, they can catch her, take you down.
What is it like to take those risks?
I mean, you have to like be very patient too when you're in the cage. Be able to control yourself and control all your movements. So everything you do in there has to be really like planned, methodical, or at least that's the approach I do or I take. So, you gotta be like I said, methodical. So you gotta set it up, punches, movement, a lot of movement. And I usually the taller guy, because in my division they're smaller guys, and I'm pretty tall. I'm like 5'10", and so I'm very good at controlling the distance, and that's very helpful, because if I can punch you and you can't even like get close to me, that's what I want.
That's a bad night for him.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of the people who had taken you down in your past were wrestlers, and they were smaller than you.
Yeah.
How were they able to get through through the distance?
So I think it's because sometimes I had that habit of like stopping after like I threw a punch or everything, and then I stop.
Like posing?
Yeah, like posing. So that's a bad habit, because if you stop in front of your opponent, well, he's gonna either take you down or punch you back, right? So now that I correct that, a lot of movement and that, I think because of they're closer to the ground too, they're closer to my legs. That was like a very easy entrance too. So like now my stand is a little bit lower, so I can be ready for like any takedowns.
Yeah, so you could sprawl.
Yeah.
And then what is it like to get ready for this big fight, right? Like you're coming as the opponent, right?
Yeah.
And so their fighter, or the fighter that's been in LFA, Legacy Fighting Alliance, is needing somebody to fight. And so you're the person who's coming to fight him, but you also have the opportunity to be able to defeat him and make a really, really big statement for you to be part of that organization and to be part of those fights.
Yeah, definitely. This is a big step for me, like a lot of fighters that are in the UFC come from that organization. So it's a big stage and it's a big opportunity. So I'm taking it like that, like it's a big fight, and I trained really hard and mentally ready, and just ready to beat my opponent.
And so what is it like are you putting in extra work? Like how much more do you put on yourself from like regular training now, knowing that this is like a career making type fight, no?
So a lot of people like to do camps, like training camps. Me, I'm always at the gym. Like every time, like morning and afternoon, I'm always at the gym. So like I'm always training. The thing is probably when I have a fight, when I have an opponent, like my coach and I like train in specific things for the fight. That will be the only different thing probably.
Do you watch their film and how do you break it down?
I try to look for like things that my opponent does too, like little mistakes or little things that they do good and they do wrong too. So I look both sides, things that he's doing good and things that he's doing bad, so I can take a little approach on that. I do watch film, but not too much.
Not too much. And what is it gonna be like? Like, how are you gonna get over there, and like, where is it? And yeah, I had another question, but I'll ask you then after that.
It's gonna be in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. The promotion is flying me and my coach over there on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday is the weigh-ins, and Friday night is the fight.
Thursday night.
Thursday afternoon are the weigh-ins. That's the day I had to weigh in, and then Friday night is the fight. That's
professional. Like, yep. So you get a chance to regain your weight and like carb up.
Oh yeah.
For us, it's
rehydrate.
Like, yeah, we weigh in at 4:00 or like 12:00, and we have to fight at 7. So it's just like you only have a couple hours. To regain all your weight or like get hydrated again.
Yeah, that's tough. Nah, we have a whole day, probably a little bit more than a whole day.
Has it always been like that in MMA?
Yeah. Like it's usually 24 hours, but sometimes
even amateur.
Yeah, amateur too.
Wow.
Especially amateur 24 hours. But sometimes not big promotion. Well, yeah, kind of like big promotions. They do a little bit extra, like a little bit extra of the 24 hours. So like I weigh in at 1, and I probably fight like Thursday at 1 p.m. Those are that time of the weigh-ins, and then Friday night probably like around 8 I'm gonna be fighting. So that's a little bit more than 24 hours to rehydrate, to regain my weight and everything.
And your family has always been in the crowd, right? So like we've always been like supporting you, and this time you're kind of going on your own. How does that feel?
I mean, it's nothing different. Back in Mexico, when I was used to, like, when I was doing tournaments, I usually just travel with my mom or my sister. So I'm used to just having just one people in the crowd, having a lot of people in the crowd. When I'm in the cage, I don't think about like everyone that it's outside the cage.
Yeah.
So,
and it might make you like concentrate more because you don't have to deal with them. You don't have to like worry about if they're having a good time or.
Yeah, sometimes you have a little bit of that pressure that your family is there watching you. So now I don't have that. So.
Yeah, and what was it like to fight? Did you fight during the pandemic?
No, I didn't fight during the pandemic.
What was it like to do MMA during the pandemic, or like train or anything like that? Like, what did you do?
Getting a fight during the pandemic, it was almost nearly impossible because, I mean, everything was closed, right? But I was still training. My coach, he had a little gym in his garage, and we did like sessions, like 2-3 days a week, and I actually got a lot better because it was just like one-on-one training. That's how I got better at wrestling, and I started liking it actually.
And so your how has the relationships been with like the people who are teaching you how to do things, right? Like you're talking about Summers, what's his name?
Danny Summers.
Danny Summers is like your trainer right here.
Yeah, he's my main coach now.
Your main coach. Like you had coaches or trainers in Mexico, one that passed away in Zumpango, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What was that relationship like?
Yeah,
what was Professor Juan or?
So, I always look to my coaches or professors like another like a father figure. So I'm very respectful, and like friends. Like I like to have a good relationship with my coach, because this is what I love to do. And they are teaching me that, so you know.
What was it like to lose your coach in Mexico?
It was very sad, But I actually had a fight like a week after he passed. I dedicated the fight to him and his family back in Mexico. I have a good relationship with them. Yeah, like I say, it was pretty sad, but I mean, you know.
What was it? How did you get the name Shank? The Shank.
The Shank. So that's a funny story actually. The first time I was cutting weight to get down to 125, it was very hard because back in Mexico I never cut weight. So the first time I was cutting weight, well, you know, I had that like mood that I didn't have. Like I haven't eat anything or drink water, so I have like a mug face.
Yeah.
So my coach was making fun, you know, like he was like, "Oh, Oscar looks ready to like, you know, like stab someone in the cage or anything." Like maybe that's why he's here, you know. He run from Mexico. He killed somebody in the cage over there in Mexico. And I look at him a straight face, you know, and I was like, "Yeah, I did. That's what I'm here." Like I had a little knife on my shorts, and I killed my opponent. I had to run. I'm running from the police.
Uh-huh.
And I had that face, like mock face.
Yeah, you
and
were just mad. You weren't smiling at all.
Yeah, I didn't flinch or anything. So, and he didn't know me that well at that time, so he believed it. And then after that, they just start calling me the Shank.
Anything that you would want to tell anybody about taking this lifestyle on? Like, what advice would you give your younger self? You know, if you could give your younger self some advice, like what advice would you give yourself?
Don't rely on talent. Work hard, because I always been like, I know I always been like good at it. So like at a time, sometimes I didn't took it that seriously. Especially back in Mexico, you know, that between 15 and 20, I was in that age that I wanted to party too, and I drink alcohol. Not anymore though. And you know, it was in between, you know, training and that party lifestyle. So yeah, definitely that.
And then that brings up another question. Like, what is it like? I didn't know that you stopped drinking, but what is it like? And I stopped drinking as well. But what is it like to not live like a normal life, like other people are living, right? Like other people are drinking all the time, and they're having a good time, and they're eating their carne asadas, and they're doing whatever they want. Like, what is it like to live this alternative life?
It's a little bit hard because, you know, you miss that like some at a time sometimes, because I have my friends back in Mexico, and you see social media, you know, the pictures, they having fun, you know, they're doing this, they're doing that. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, I choose this life, right? So, and I'm in it right now, and like I'm in the middle of it, like I'm just starting. So, I just gotta go with it, you know. Love what I do.
And what is it like to be away from your friends and be away from all those people that you built social relationships with?
So it actually changed me a little bit socially, because now I'm a little bit more like close, and I'm very like focused on what I'm doing. So sometimes it's kind of like I'm not thinking of anything else, just this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it kind of like.
Do you miss them?
Like how do you say that? Like when we kind of like grew apart, you know, a little bit now.
Yeah.
We're still good friends. I mean, they're always gonna be my friends. I miss them obviously. And actually recently a friend, Miguel, came to visit me from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty fun. And well, yeah, I definitely miss them.
Any other words that you would want to give to anybody?
Always follow your passion. You know, do what you love, and life is it's a really good gift. So just enjoy it, you know, and be consistent on something that you like. Mm-hmm. Consistency is gonna make you good at that.
All right. Well, with that, we're signing off. I want to thank Oscar the Shank Jurado Sanchez for coming, and
thank you, man.
And
thank you for having me.
And sharing, you know, some knowledge. You know, I know that a lot of people watch MMA now. I know that MMA wasn't really that popular, especially in Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like to pursue MMA or martial arts in Mexico when boxing is like holy there? It's like it's the sport.
So when in the little town that I was living, like I said, Zumpango, So it didn't have an MMA gym. Like I didn't know MMA. So like the closest thing I had was the kickboxing gym, and and I was doing boxing at the time too. And the biggest gyms like MMA, they were in the city, Mexico City. It was like an hour apart. And I was at school at the time, so I didn't have the time to like travel to the city. So I didn't do any MMA until the little gym opened. And I mean, it was fun. It was a learning experience. I learned some stuff, some really good stuff, like my basics, because I didn't came here to this gym in Intercept, and I knew a little bit of jiu-jitsu already.
Okay. Well, thank you for making it. We appreciate your time, and look out for him. He's gonna be doing a lot of big things. We're in the family. We're really proud of him. I probably get more nervous than he does when he's out there, because when you're fighting, the adrenaline kicks in, and you just like.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Like when everyone, like, when you fight, when my friends fight, you get more nervous than when you are actually fighting.
Yeah, because
it's a weird thing.
Because it's just like I get nervous probably right before they call my name, and then as soon as they call my name, it's just like, it's like it's out the window. Like it's gonna get done. Yeah, you're already down the roller coaster, right?
Yeah, you're already there.
So it's just like, but yeah, man. Every time I'm like, and I see your mom, and she makes me even more nervous because I look at your mom and I'm just like, tía, me estás haciendo muy nervioso. But we're really proud of you, and
thank you.
And we look for really big things, and we're definitely rooting for you to win this fight at the LFA.
I will. It's gonna be a nice show.
Yeah.
Stuff.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming. With that, we'll be signing off. How can people reach you if they want to reach you, or they want to see your fights, or they want to contact you? Like, what's your social media? And
I have my Facebook page is Oscar the Shank Jurado, OscarTheShankJurado.
And then an Instagram. Do you have an Instagram that people could follow you in?
Yeah. My Instagram is Oscar Jurado Sanchez. So for my Instagram is OscarJurado Sanchez.
So everybody, give a big round of applause for him, and yeah, signing off. 500 and growing. Oscar the Shank Jurado Sanchez. Thank you.
500 and growing.
Podcast. Dedicated to the underdog, cause I see you working on your craft, getting strong, cause I see you ready to set it off and on, cause I see you correcting all that is wrong, cause I see you dedicated to your craft, read and study the math, making goals and taking a stand, original, so you trailblaze a path, in tune with your inner master plan.
Visit 500andgrowing.com for more creative content.
Thank you very much for listening to the 500 and Growing podcast. Remember that we have incredible guests that have already featured in episodes in the past. So please go back into the archives and listen to their inspirational stories. And then remember that we have incredible guests lined up for the future. So please follow on Instagram at 500 and Growing Podcast. Remember to follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the major podcast platforms. You can also check out 500andgrowing.com for more creative content.
500 and growing.
Podcast.